Hey there, welcome to this video, and in this particular video we are going to talk about real-time chat application. So I'm going to quickly brief you as to what we are going to build, and as you can see over here, it's a real-time chat application, of course, and I have two instances of this application open over here in separate browser tabs, or in separate browser windows I should say. Okay, so you can see over here localhost 8080/chat and localhost 8080/chat. You can change this URL to whatever you want to, okay, but I have kept it at /chat URL, okay, or /chat path. Now, what I will do is, how this application works is, here you have the chat window, okay, this is where you see all the messages, and here you see all the messages, okay, and here you can set your name and you can type in your message, okay. So this is like a chat room that anyone can join in and see what is happening over here, okay. So I'll say over here, this is let's say John over here, okay, and here I'll set the name over here as Jane, okay. Now John will send a message. John will say, "Hi everyone," okay, something like this, and you can see this message is being received by Jane as well in the Jane's window. Now Jane will say, "Hey there, hey, how are you? How are you?" Something like this, or whatever message you want to type in. You can see, "Hey, how are you?" Right? "I'm good," he'll say. Okay. And he'll say, "What's up today?" So this way, both of them can chat, and there can be many people who can join this conversation and talk to each other. Okay. It's completely real time. As you can see, there is no lag, right? It's completely real time. And yeah, it's sort of a real time chat or chat room functionality is what you can say over here. Okay. And we are making use of quite a few technologies, okay, and I'll give you an overview of how the technologies are being used. But remember over here, the name is not being cleared, the message is being cleared from this box, but name is not being cleared. So once the name is set, it's set, okay, and you can edit the name to whatever you want to, okay. I have not disabled this text box, but of course, this is just an application, and it can be extended to any sort of functionality you would like. Okay. Now let's talk about technologies and what we will go hands-on with. So coming over here, okay. So first thing first, of course, I'll break down the technologies into three things, like backend, we have the front end, and then we have the development and infra tools. Okay. Now backend, of course, we are making use of Spring Boot, Java Spring Boot. We'll also make use of Spring WebSocket. Now what is Spring WebSocket? So this enables real-time communication over WebSockets, and it forms the base for live messaging features that we just saw. Okay, that is what we are going to do. Then you have something called as STOMP protocol, okay, which is Spring messaging, okay, and it manages the messaging between client and server over and above WebSocket, okay. So it's a simple, so STOMP stands for Simple Text Oriented messaging protocol, okay, and it is used to handle subscriptions and message broadcasting, because if you're building things like groups or chat rooms, okay, there will be people who will join in the chat room, which means that they are subscribed to that chat room or subscribed to that group, right? Whenever you're using WhatsApp, you join a particular group, right? What does that mean in technical terms? You are subscribed to anyone who is sending message in that group. So any messages being sent in that group, you are subscribed. That is what it means, right? So all that subscription and everything is being managed by STOMP protocol. And then of course we are making use of Thymleaf, which is a server-side templating engine, which is dynamically used to render HTML elements. That is what we are going to use, okay, Thymleaf. Now you can make use of other technologies also, but I thought of giving a flavor of Thymleaf over here, okay. Now coming to front end meaning client side, of course, Thymleaf is one. Okay, we are making use of JavaScript, ES6. We are making use of SOC.js. Now what is SOC.js? So SOC.js provides WebSocket-like communication and handles any sort of fallback options if WebSocket support is unavailable. Okay, STOMP.js, this is another library which is used to get the STOMP protocol that we spoke about in the front end, okay, or in JavaScript. Of course, we'll make use of HTML, CSS, and a little bit of Bootstrap. So this UI that you are seeing over here, okay, This is Bootstrap base UI. Okay, these buttons and all are coming in from Bootstrap. Okay, I have not written CSS. Okay, not a lot of CSS over here, but we are making use of Bootstrap to keep things simple. Of course, for development and infra tools, I'm making use of Maven over here, but you can make use of Gradle too. So it's completely up to you as to what you want to use. And of course, I'm making use of, I should mention over here, okay, IntelliJ. Okay, IntelliJ is the IDE that we are making use of. But if you want to choose any other IDE like STS or Eclipse, I know people use other IDEs as well. Or if you want to use Visual Studio Code, you're free to use whichever IDE you're comfortable with. Your learning is not impacted by the IDE you choose, in my opinion. Okay, it's just a choice that you make. All right. So these are the technologies that we are going to learn about. Now, quickly hit the like button, subscribe, and also in the comments, let me know who you are and whether you are following this particular course. I would love to hear from you. And also, if you have any sort of feedback or any sort of video requests that you want me to bring on this channel, feel free to do so, because all the latest videos that I have been bringing are all the channel requests, like students from you people who are watching my videos, they are commenting, and I make a list. Actually as to what I should be working on and bringing it to you all. Okay, so comments are valuable. I read them personally. Okay, so yeah, that's about this video. Let's jump right in. I hope you're excited. Hey there. So it's time that we create and set up our Spring Boot project. So I have opened this website called start.spring.io, which will help us create or set up a project structure. So I'll select the options and the dependencies that we need. So first thing first, I'll select Maven over here, language as Java. This is the Spring Boot version that I'm going ahead with. I'll say group is com.chat.application. App, I'll just have artifact as app. So it's com.chat.app is the package name. I'll have jar as the packaging and Java version 17 or 21, whichever you want to select. That's completely fine. Okay. I'll add dependencies over here. Now, first thing is it's a web project. So I'll have web over here. We will be making use of Thymleaf. So I'll add Thymleaf over here. Okay. And we'll need WebSocket over here. You can see WebSocket. So this is basically used to make WebSocket application, WebSocket based application with sock.js and STOMP. Now the STOMP is a protocol. So this is something that I'll add and we'll be making use of it. Okay. I'll add one more thing. I'll add Lombok over here. It's a tool that helps us reduce boilerplate code, like it auto generates getters, setters, and everything based on the annotations that we use. Okay, so these are the things that these are the dependencies basically that I'm adding over here. Okay, we can later revisit if we need more, but I think these will be sufficient. All right, now you can either go to explore and go through the project structure over here. You can see what all dependencies are being added, or what you can do is you can generate the project from here, right? Now, when you say generate, what will happen is the project will be converted into a zip file and it will be given to you as a download. So you can save it onto your local machine. Okay, so I'll just do that. Now what I've done is I've downloaded the Spring Boot project that was provided to me as a zip file, and I've downloaded it into a folder on my local machine where I wish to do the development. Okay, so this is the path where I'll be doing the development. Okay, what you can do is you can unzip it over here. Since it's a zip file, I'll say extract over here and it will open up this folder over here as a normal folder. Now what you need to do is as a next step, you need to open IntelliJ IDEA, because we are going to open this project into IntelliJ. Now here, there's a welcome screen of IntelliJ. Of course, I'm seeing a lot of past projects because there's a lot of development I do in IntelliJ. I'll say open over here. And then over here, I will like head over to the to-do application. You can see, sorry, not to-do, the chat application. Okay, over here. And I'll select pom.xml. All right. And I'll say okay. and I'll open this as a project. Okay, so we'll wait for a while until you can see on the bottom right side the project is syncing. Okay, so we'll wait until this syncing ends. All right, syncing is done and you can see the entire project being imported into IntelliJ now. Okay, and we are ready to do the development for our application. So I hope you have been able to follow along, and I hope this was useful. So now it's time that we begin defining the WebSocket configuration for our application. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to SRC folder. Under main Java, I have this package, and here I'm going to say new. You can create a package, and I'll call this package as config. Okay. Now under this config package, I'm going to have a new Java class, and I'm going to call this class as WebSocket config, because we are defining the configuration for WebSocket, and I'm going to implement WebSocket, okay, WebSocket message broker configure. Okay, so this is something that I'm going to basically implement to our class. Okay, now what is this interface over here? Okay, so this is actually an interface. If you go inside, okay, I can see like download the decompiled version or download sources. So you can download this and you'll get the documentation over here. Okay. And then you can see over here, it defines the methods for configuring message handling with simple messaging protocol, which is STOMP from WebSocket clients. Okay. Now what does this mean? Okay. So we are making use of WebSocket protocol. Okay, now what is this? This provides, we are making use of WebSocket actually. It provides a underlying protocol to keep the continuous two-way communication channel open between a client, which will be our front-end application in our case, and the server. Okay, so what is it? It provides a continuous connection or a two-way channel between a client and a server. That is what WebSocket is. Okay. Now, what is STOMP? STOMP means STOMP. So it sits on top of WebSocket and it gives a structure to the communication that we do, or a structure to the messages that we pass in between the client and server. That is what you can say. Okay. WebSocket deals with the continuous two-way communication channel between client and a server, and STOMP will give the structure to the messages. So STOMP will basically define how the messages are organized, routed, and it's going to do all of that. Okay, it's basically going to do the organization work for you. So I hope this is clear. In short, I'll just summarize this in short. WebSocket enables real-time connection, and STOMP, which is this thing over here, okay, it is used to organize and route messages within that connection. Okay, and it makes it easier for handling things like chat rooms if you're creating, topics if you're creating, okay, or any other message destinations in an organized way. Okay, so that is what it's actually used for. All right. Now what we are going to do is we are going to add in some code over here. Okay, so I'll just close this. We are actually, so this interface that I close, we are going to actually implement a couple of methods from here. Okay, one is going to be the register STOMP endpoints. Okay, this is what we are going to make use of. We are going to override this, okay, because we'll register the endpoints where the broadcast is supposed to happen. Okay, and we are also going to add a configure message broker. Okay, so this is, where is configure message broker? Okay, here it is. Configure message broker. This is something that we are going to also override over here. Okay, we'll talk about message broking and what it is shortly. Okay, but I'll just come over here in our class and I'll just add some annotations, I should say. Okay, so first thing is, this is a configuration class, so I need to tell Spring that, hey, this is a configuration class, so consider it that way. Okay, and I'm going to say enable, you can see this annotation, enable WebSocket message broker. Okay, so this annotation is going to enable WebSocket messaging in Spring Boot, and it tells Spring that this app will use WebSockets to handle real-time communication. Okay, that is what we are going to make use of. Okay, now what is message broking in a way? Okay, so you have heard of You heard of what is STOMP, like STOMP, what is WebSocket, but what is message broking? So message broking is a concept, or a way I should say, of routing messages. Okay, so whenever you're building applications using WebSocket, a message broker is like a middleman, you can say. Okay, it is going to direct the messages to the right place. That is what it means. Okay, it is going to direct the messages at right place. For example, if there is a WebSocket communication happening, and there is a message that arrives. Okay, now where should that message go? In which chat room? So that is what is being decided by the message broker. Okay, so that is what message broking is as a concept. All right, so I hope this is making sense. Okay, and like I said, we are going to override a couple of methods from the interface. So what I will do is I can actually say right click, generate. Okay, override methods, and I'm going to select register stop endpoints and configure message broker, these two things. Okay, I'm going to say okay. All right, so I get this. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, you can see over here, stomp endpoint registry. This is the default parameter that I get. Okay, what I'll do is I'll delete this predefined code. Okay, and I'll say registry dot add endpoint. So we are going to define the endpoint, stomp endpoint over here. Okay, and I'm going to say chats over here. This is the endpoint that we are defining. Chat, not chats. Okay, and I'm going to say set allowed origins over here. Okay, and I'm going to add our front-end URL. So it's going to be HTTP. Okay, and localhost colon. So it will be 5173. That is where our application will run. Okay, if we need to change this, we'll come back and revisit this code. Okay, and then I'll say over here with sock.js, and I'll end this with a semicolon over here. Okay, now what are we doing over here? We are actually adding a endpoint. We are defining an endpoint in our application. Okay, for WebSocket connections, this is the endpoint /chat. So it's going to be 8080 localhost colon 8080 /chat. Okay, we are saying set allowed origins. This is the we want to entertain requests from this URL only. Okay, and this is a security feature to prevent any sort of unauthorized broadcast or messages coming into our application. Okay, then we are saying with sock.js. Now what does this mean? So this is going to add compatibility for clients that don't support WebSockets by using sock.js as the fallback. Okay, and this makes the app more accessible. This makes the app accessible, actually, I should say, to more users. Okay, so yeah, this is done. All right, and then we are going to come down over here and we are going to work on this particular method. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this, get this code. Now, first thing what we are going to do is we are going to set a simple message broker. So I'm going to say set message broker over here. Okay, this is the first step. Okay, and this is going to define the message broker. So now as the next step, what I'm going to do is I am going to add a line which will tell the server as to when it is supposed to expect a message. Okay, so for example, server will process a message with a particular prefix. Okay, so for example, if a client sends a message with prefix /app, okay, then server will know that it is supposed to process. Okay, so let's add the code for this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say config over here. Okay, we don't have config, we have registry over here, message broker registry. So I'm going to say registry dot enable simple broker. You can see enable simple broker, and I'll say /topic. So this is our broker. All right, over here, this is done. And okay, I'll add a semicolon. And there is a next line that I need to add. I'll say registry dot, I'll say set application destination prefix. Okay, this is the one, set application destination prefixes. Okay, and I'll say /app over here. Okay, so these two things we need to do. Okay, so just to reiterate, what this line will do is this line sets up a message broker that can handle messages for topics. Okay, so we are saying that if a message, so whoever is subscribed to this /topic, okay, they will get a broadcast of whatever messages are being sent over here. Okay, that is how it works, right? So for example, you can have a chat room /topic, for example, something like this /topic / chat room 1. something like this. Okay. And whoever is in this chat room and whoever is sending a message to this chat room and whoever is subscribed, all will get the message. That is how it works. Okay. So this is a channel we are creating over here. And then we are actually telling the server that if you get any sort of message with this prefix, process it. All right. That's it. That's what we are doing. All right. So I hope this is pretty clear, and that's all from the configuration over here for WebSocket. I hope it's pretty clear, and I hope this has been useful. So now it's time we'll take a step forward with our application and we'll add a controller. So what I'm going to do is here we have com.chatapp.config. This is our main package, com.chat.app. So I'll add a package under this. I'll say controller. Okay, and here I'll add a new Java class. I'll call this as chat controller over here. Okay, and I'll hide this. Okay. Now, what is this controller going to do? So this controller is going to handle all the incoming messages, okay, that is being sent from the front end, and it is going to add it, or it is going to broadcast it to all the clients basically. Okay, so I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to first mark this as a controller over here. Okay, and then over here I'm going to create public. I'm going to say send. Okay, so there has to be a return type over here. Okay, and for that we need a model. That is what I realized. So return type can be of chat message type. Okay, and I'm going to say send message over here, something like this. Okay, and the input that we are going to get is also chat message, and I'll say message over here, and I'm simply going to return message. Okay, message. This is what it is. Okay, I'm seeing red marks over here for chat message because this does not exist. And what I will do is I'll quickly create a class over here. I'll create it under model package. Okay, so I'll say model dot chat message, something like this. Okay, now this is the class that is going to represent a particular message. All right, so what I can do over here is I'll have a few fields. I'll say private long. I'll say ID. I'll have a private string sender. Okay, I'll have private string content. So I'm keeping track of ID, sender, and content of the message. Okay, and over here I'll mark this as data. Okay, this is the data annotation. I'll have no args constructor, all args constructor. Okay, something like this. Or let me add a constructor myself because I want constructor for sender and content. Okay, or we don't need it actually. When we need it, we'll probably add it. Okay, so for now this is enough. All right, and what I will do is I'll come over here and I'll get this imported. Okay, oops. So I'll get this imported over here. Something like this. Okay, so this import is added and you have the send message. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to actually handle the messages and what happens when anyone sends a message to this particular method, or actually this is going to be an endpoint. Okay, and what happens over there, that is what we are going to define over here. So we are going to use a couple of annotation. Okay, first is message mapping. This is one. And the other one is send to. Okay, now what is message mapping? So message mapping annotation maps WebSocket messages to the destination. Okay, and the destination here is going to be /app/send message. Okay, so I'm going to send message. Okay, something like this. Okay, so I should make M as caps. Okay, in fact we don't need app over here. Okay, because we are already seeing in WebSocket config that any message or anything that is sent with this prefix should be handled by server. Okay, so we'll just have send message over here, and send to, we are going to send this. So what happens after, or what do we do with the return or return type of this particular method over here? Okay, so the return of this particular method is sent to a specific chat room, I can say. Okay, and that is going to be /topic. Okay, /messages. All right, So that is what we are doing. Okay, so let me reiterate. So message mapping, when a client sends message to this particular endpoint, okay, slash send message. So the endpoint is going to be slash app slash send message. Okay, so whenever a client sends a message to this endpoint, this method is called to process it. Okay, this is a method send message, and this works similarly to how regular HTTP request maps a controller method to a Spring to a URL defined. Okay, so it works in a similar way. And then you have send to. This annotation tells Spring to broadcast the return value of send message method, okay, to all the clients who are subscribed to this particular topic. Okay, so in simple terms, when a message is sent over here, okay, so when anyone sends a message to slash, okay, so wait a minute, so to slash app slash send message. So when any of the message is received on this particular endpoint, okay, it get broadcasted to all the other connected clients onto this particular topic. Okay, so whoever wants to receive the message should subscribe to this particular topic, and whatever you want to send should be sent over here. This is the complete endpoint. Okay, I hope I'm able to make a point over here. All right, so that is what we are doing, and what we also need is we need one more endpoint. Okay, so this one endpoint is enough for our application to work. We'll need one more endpoint, which will be a get mapping. Okay, since we are making use of Thymleaf, we'll say public string chat, and what we need to do is we need to return chat over here. Now, why chat? Because this is going to be the name of our Thymleaf template. Okay, so anyone visiting slash chat, let me add slash chat over here. Okay, so you can have root URL also. We'll just stick to root URL. Okay, so whoever is visiting the root URL, we will return the Thymleaf template over here. Okay, or you can even map it to a specific template if you wish to, something like this chat. Okay, and anyone going to localhost :8080/chat will get this particular Thymleaf template. Okay, right now we don't have this Thymleaf template. We'll be creating, but this is what it's going to do. Also, one thing I realize here, we have set the allowed origins to localhost 5173. So this is not going to be our port number. It's going to be 8080 because we're going to be making use of Thymleaf. All right. So I hope you have been able to follow along, and I hope you are clear as to why we created the chat controller and chat message. So I hope this was useful. So now it's time that we begin working on our front end. So I'll come over here, and under resources, under template, I'm going to add a HTML file. Okay, and I'm going to call this as chat.html because that's what we should call, because here we are returning chat. Okay, and this is the name of the Thymleaf template. So this is going to be our Thymleaf template over here. Title, I can have chat, or I can say real time chat app. Okay, something like this, application. All right, I'll save this, and here I can simply add a header. Okay, so that we know like this is loading. Okay, so what I will do is I'll say h1 over here, something like this. Okay, and let us run this application. Okay, so I'll run this. Let us run and let us see. Okay, Lombok requires enabled annotation processing. I'll just say enable it. Okay, and we'll come over here and we'll go to localhost : okay, so it's localhost : 8080/chat. Okay, you can see real-time chat application. So clearly this template is getting rendered, this Thymleaf template that we have added over here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'll minimize everything, and we'll begin working on this template. Okay, so the first thing we need is we need to build the UI, and for building the UI we'll be making use of a bootstrap CSS over here. Okay, this is a very popular CSS or front-end toolkit, I should say. And what I'm going to do is here you can go to read the docs, and here you can see how you can add it into your application. Okay, so yeah, you can pick this up. Okay, you can say this is the entire URL over here. Okay, I'll just take this URL, I'll come over here, and in the head tag I'll just paste this. Okay, And let us come over here again, and there is something called as button. Okay, so buttons. Okay, so I'll just copy a button and I'll see if it's being rendered in the right way. Okay, so let's copy a primary button. Okay, it should come in this way, blue. Okay, so I'll just add that, and let us see if this works absolutely okay. So let me restart the application. I'll have to restart. Okay, and it's restarting, and we come over here. Let me hit refresh. Okay, so you can see the button coming up, which means Bootstrap has been added into your application. All right, now what we are going to do, we are going to start defining the UI over here. Okay, that is what we are going to do. So here, okay, we don't need this, in fact. Okay, I'll begin from scratch. So we have the body tag. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a div. Okay, now this div is, I'm going to add a class. I'm going to say container, and I'm going to say empty 4 over here. Okay, this is what we are adding. I'll say h1 over here. Okay, and I'll say real time chat application, something like this. Okay, and I'll add a class over here. So class I'll add is so class, and I'll say the class is text center. So I need to get this text onto the center. Okay, this is done. Now what I will do is I need a chat window. Okay, which will show all the messages, and also I need a way wherein a user can also send the message. Okay, so I'm going to add a div over here. Okay, this is a div. Okay, so this is an empty div that I'm going to have where the messages are going to be posted. Okay, I'm going to assign it a class, or I'm going to assign it a ID, I should say. The ID is chat. Okay, and there will be class as well. Okay, let me take this onto new line because we're going to add quite a few classes. Okay, so class is equal to, I'm going to say border. Okay, sorry. So border rounded. Rounded. Okay, and I'm going to say padding 3, MB margin bottom 3, and yeah, this is a class, and I'll add style as well. Okay, so I'll say style over here. I'm going to say style as height colon and 300 pixels. Okay, I'm going to say overflow of Y as auto. Okay, something like this, and yeah, I think this is it. So this should add a div basically that is empty, where all the chat messages are going to be displayed in a way, right? That is what we are going to do. Now I need to add one more div over here. Okay, div. All right, and what we will do over here is I'm going to say class. Okay, and I'm going to say input group over here. This is going to have all the functionality to send messages. Okay, so the user should be able to send messages, right? So I'm going to say input over here, and this can be a self-closing tag. I'm going to say ID, and I'll say sender input. Okay, text, type is text. Okay, text, something like this. Class is form control. Okay, and I can add a placeholder as well. Okay, so I'll say placeholder as your name, something like this. Okay, let us see if this works fine. Okay, there's no label over here, which is absolutely okay. So I'll stop and run, and let us see if these two things are coming in properly. If you come here, refresh, you can see this is a chat window where all the chat messages will appear. This is that div which we configured, and here is your name. Okay, that is what it is. Now what I will do is I will simply duplicate this. Okay, this entire div over here, I'll duplicate. Okay, and over here I'll say input group. Okay, margin bottom 3, and this can be message input. Okay, so we have sender name. Now we have message input, which is the message that you want to type in. Okay, so I'll have a placeholder over here which will say type a message. Okay, so type a message, something like this. Okay, and over here I'll add a div, okay, and this div will have a button, okay. Let's do this way, okay, button. Now this div will have a ID of message, sorry, input group append, okay, input group append over here, and the button can have an ID over here of send message, okay, and we are going to use this ID later on to trigger message and broadcast messages and all of that, okay, to trigger the message to the backend, okay, button primary, and I'm going to say send over here, okay, and I think this is it. Yeah, this is what the UI will look like, okay. Let me run this and let us see if we are able to like see the output, okay. Let me refresh. You can see, okay, I'm too zoomed in, so I'll zoom out to 150%. Or so I'm still zoomed in actually to 150%. So you can see real-time chat application, your name, your message, and you have this send button over here, which does not work right now. Okay, it will work soon. So this is the interface that we have set so far. Now this is done. So we are going to need a couple of things that we need to add to our template over here. Okay, first thing is SOC.js. Okay, so just Google SOC.js and you will get this first link, which is a browser-based JavaScript library that provides WebSocket-like object, okay, which allows you to work with WebSockets, okay. So you can click on the first link and you will come over here to this GitHub repo, okay. You can see it's a JavaScript library. You can read about this, okay. So it allows you to communicate over WebSocket connections, okay, and this is what we're going to make use of. So understand this, okay, WebSockets are great for real-time communication, okay, but not all browsers or networks would provide this kind of WebSocket connections or enable you to have WebSocket connections, right? So when that's the case, SOC.js will come into picture and it will provide a WebSocket simulation, okay. So that is what it is going to help you with. And how would you add it into your project? So you can basically add it using the script tag over here. You can see this is a script tag. So I'm just going to copy this, okay, and I'm just going to come over here and we will scroll up and I'll add it over here, something like this, okay. So I've added this, and then we are going to need STOMP.js, okay. So this library allows you to connect to a STOMP broker over a WebSocket, okay. That is what we are going to do. And if you open this first GitHub link, you will see this official repository. Just click over here. Please visit STOMP.js.github.io. And here, if you say using STOMP.js, okay, if you click this, you will find the link over here. Okay, this is the link. Okay, so what we will do is we will duplicate the script tag, for example, here for SOC.js, and we'll replace it with this URL. Okay, so I'm using, oops, so I'm not able to copy this. I'll just copy link address and yep. Yeah, this is it. So we have SOC.js and STOMP.js added over here. Okay, this is done. All right, now we need to start making use of this. And I hope it's clear also as to why we have added these two things. Okay, so SOC.js, like I said, it's a sort of a thing which is used if WebSocket is not you are not able to use WebSocket, for example, in your client or in a particular browser that you are using. So it's a fallback for WebSocket is what you can say. Okay, and STOMP basically is used to connect to message brokers. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down over here. Okay, and outside body, I'm going to have script tag over here. Okay, and here I'm going to write some JavaScript. Okay, so first thing is I'm going to create a function called connect. Okay, we are going to write a few functions. Okay, and you'll understand what we are doing, why we are doing all of that. All right, but this is a JavaScript function that I'm writing over here. Okay, so first thing I'll say where socket, and I'm going to create a new object of SOC.js. Okay, and I'll basically have this /chat over here. Okay, now we have created a WebSocket connection to this endpoint /chat. Okay, And this function basically is going to help us establish a WebSocket connection to the server using SOC.js and STOMP. Okay, so what we are going to do is we have this socket object. Okay, now what we can do is we can wrap this connection into the STOMP protocol. Okay, so I'm going to say STOMP client. Okay, and I'm going to say STOMP. Okay, STOMP dot over, and I'm going to say socket over here, something like this. Okay, and then I'm going to say STOMP client. So I'll copy STOMP client. Okay, and I'm going to say dot connect, and I'll have this, and over here I'll say function. Okay, frame, and we will define this function over here. Okay, as to what is supposed to happen once the connection is established. Okay, so once the connection is established, what we are supposed to do is we are supposed to say set connected to true. Now, what is set connected? It's another function that manages the state as to what happens when the connection happens. So I'll tell you here in the UI. Okay, here in the UI you have this button send. So this button should be only enabled when the connection is successful. Okay, that's one thing, right? You can do more things depending on how you want to change the state of the web application when the connection is established and not established. Okay, many people have a red indicator, not a red indicator, red and green indicator. So red means you are offline, you're not connected. Green means you're online. Okay, so you can have a function called set connected and you can manage all of that. Okay, but I'm just going to manage the button over here, enable, disable. If the button is enabled, means you're connected. If the button is disabled, you're not connected. Okay, and we can actually do that. So I'll copy this function over here. I'll say function over here, set connected, and we are accepting over here connected variable over here. Okay, and this is a parameter. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say document.get element by ID over here, and I'm going to say send message. Okay, and then I'm going to say disabled. Okay, so disabled if I'll reverse connected. So if it's connected, it's enabled. If it's not connected, it's disabled. That is what I'm going to do. So that is why I'm calling this particular function. Okay, set connected. And what I can do is I'll need to now subscribe. Okay, so I need to subscribe to a particular topic, basically to ensure that the client receives any messages sent to that particular channel. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of STOMP client again over here. I'm going to say STOMP client dot subscribe. Okay, and I'm going to pass in the URL over here, comma function, and I'm going to say message over here. Okay, so hold on a bit. Okay, I'll close this and I'll close this entire thing. Okay, now subscribe over here. What are we subscribing to? We are saying topic / messages. Okay, this is what we are doing. And now what happens after this? So we'll say show message. Okay, now what is show message? Show message is just another function which does not exist yet. Okay, I'm going to define this, but I'll say json.parse, and we are going to have message.body over here. So we are going to pass all the message.body, all the contents of message.body, and what it's going to do is it is going to display that to the front end. Okay, so just to tell you, once you subscribe to a topic, and if there is any message, you need to show the message over here, like in this div, right? So that is what show message is going to do. Okay, so that's the functionality. I think this is it, and we'll also define the show message over here. Okay, so what is show message? Show message is a function. So I'll say function show message. Okay, and then I'll have message over here as the parameter. So this accepts message as the parameter. Okay, and then over here, what we need to do is we need to get chat over here. Okay, so this is a chat div. This is the empty div that we created. So we need to get this div, and inside this div, we need to create the message element and display along with the text and the sender, right? That is the entire process, right? So that is what we are going to do, where chat is equal to document.get element by ID over here. I'm going to get chat over here. Okay, something like this. And then I'm going to say where message element over here. Okay, I'm going to create again document dot create element over here. Okay, and then over here I'm going to say div. Okay, something like this. Okay, this is done. So we are first getting the chat div over here, and then we are creating a new div of type, new element of type div, I should say. Okay, and that is what message element is. Now inside this div, we are going to add the text, the sender, and all of that. So I'm going to say message element dot text content. Now what is the text content? I'm going to say message dot sender. So message has a sender and a content, right? You can see over here. The message has a sender and a content over here, right? And that is what we are passing in over here. Message.body means we are passing in sender and the content, right? That is what we are doing. So here we are going to say message.sender, and I'm going to say plus, and there's a format in which we are displaying it. Okay. Oops. So I'll add single quote. Okay. And even double quote would work fine, but I just thought of adding single quote, and then I'll say message dot content. Okay, something like this. Okay, and I'll say message element. Okay, so message element, we need to add class as well, right? Because we are making use of bootstrap. So I'll say border and border bottom of mp-1. Okay, so this is margin bottom, and border bottom is something that I've added. Okay, this is for separation purpose. Okay, nothing else. So if there are multiple chat messages, I need to separate them. Okay, and I'll say append child. I'm appending this child to chat over here, and I'm passing in message element over here. Okay, and then I'm going to say chat dot scroll top, because if there are a lot of messages, then we need to scroll, right? So I'll say scroll height over here, and this is it. Right, so this is show message over here, right? So yeah, this is it, and we need to now define the functionality basically to send the message also. Okay, so what I will do is I'll just copy this over here. I'll come over here. Okay, we'll say send message. Okay, we'll define send message, and then we'll also have to add it to the button as a listener. Okay, so I'll say send message. Okay, and I don't need a parameter over here. Okay, I'll say where sender, and I'll get the document by ID. Okay, something like this, and I'll say sender input. So this is what is sender input. So I remember giving this as yeah, this is sender input, and this is message input. So we need to get the values of both of these, right? So I'll say sender input dot value over here. Okay, and I need to copy this sender input dot value. I'll paste it over here, and I'll say content. So the sender and the content, and here I'll say message. Okay, something like this. Okay, now what we will do is we have the sender and the content. We need to send the message to the backend. How do we need to send? We need to send it in this format, right? Sender and content. Okay, because we'll be sending it to this particular controller method, and that is what it accepts, chat message, right? So this is coming in the request body over here, right? So we need to make sure that we pass it in this particular format only, right? So what I will do is I'll come over here in chat.html, and here I'll say where chat message over here, and I'll say I'll just create an object of this type. Okay, sorry, it's just an object with name chat message. I'll say sender colon sender. Okay, and content colon content. Okay, this is it, and now we need to send this to the server. So what are we going to do? We are going to make use of STOMP client that we have, and I'm going to say send over here. Okay, and then I'm going to say app/send message over here. Okay, comma, and I'll have a empty. So this is empty curly braces, and I'll say JSON.stringify. Oops. JSON.stringify. That's right. And I'm going to pass in chat message like so. Okay. And then what I can do is I can clear the field. So we need to clear the message field as well. We'll just clear the message field, not the name field. Okay. So what I will do is I will get the message. So I'll get this, Okay, this is a message field. I'll say dot value is equal to empty. Okay, so this clears it out, right? Now this is done. Now what we need to do is we need to add this thing. Okay, we need to add this, or we need to call this method when the send message button is clicked. So where is the send message button? This is a send message button with this ID. Okay, so what we will do is we'll come over here just below the script. Oops. So what is this curly brace over here? Okay, this one closes over here. Okay, this one closes over here. Oops. So I think I messed up with the curly braces. So this curly brace I'll get rid of. Okay, and it will come over here. It is a closure for this function. Closure for this function over here, right? Yeah. And then this one is closing over here. Okay, now I'll come over here and just in the end I'll say document.get element by ID send message, and I'll say on click send message over here, something like this. Okay, and I'll say window.onLoad. So when the window loads, I'll just call connect. Okay, now what is connect? Connect is over here, connect, right? So I'll save this. Let us see if we get any sort of issues, what issues we are getting, whether we are able to get this to work. Okay, this is working, and I'll refresh. Let us also open the console. Okay, STOMP is not defined. So we are getting this because STOMP is not defined, of course. But why is it not defined? So what I will do is here, if you see, we have added this library in the header as well, but this is not working. Okay, and I realized like we have added this from the official website over here. So this was the official website, right? So from here we add it. Okay, we went to using STOMP.js. Okay, and we added it from here, right? But it's not working, and I could find one more URL over here. Okay, so I'll add that URL over here. You can take a look at it. Okay, so this is the URL. Oops, I minimized this. So this is the URL, the new URL I replaced it with. So this is the cdn cloudflare.com, ajax libs stomp.js 2.3.1 and stomp.min.js. Okay, so if you save this and if you run this, it's going to work. Okay, so if you come over here and if you head over here, if you refresh, you can see it's connected, right? It's connected over here to the chat. Okay, so yeah, this is what it is. We can send the message. Okay, so we can say user1, I can say hello. Okay, and I can send it. Okay, it's sent user1 content hello. Oops, but it's not displayed over here. That's the problem. So why is it not being displayed? Why is it not being displayed? We need to see that. Okay, so we are not seeing the output. Okay, we are not seeing the output over here. If I close this, we are not seeing the output over here in this div. And one of the possible reasons could be when we are sending the message over here, we are sending it to app/send message. So it should be /app/send message. Okay, so that's a mistake. I missed a slash over here. Okay, I'll rerun the application. Let us see how this behaves. Okay, we'll come over here. I'll do a refresh and I'll go to inspect console. Okay, I'll scroll down. Okay, so you can see we are now subscribed to this particular channel, I should say. Okay, I'll say user1. I'll say hello over here. Okay, I'll say send. You can see ID is so ID is null. That's fine. Sender user1 content hello. Okay, and okay, I added a console log as well. Okay, when debugging, so I'll just get rid of that. Okay, so we are seeing this console log. I'll just get rid of that. This was added by me for some debugging in show message. Okay, because we were not getting the output. So yeah, I refresh this. Let us refresh this again. I'll say user1 and I'll say hi over here. Okay, the moment I say hi, I'll say send. You can see the message is sent, and you can see user1 says hi, right? So you're seeing the messages and you can keep on typing the message hello. Okay, and you should see the output. Okay, so this is how it is going to work. All right. So what I've done is I've created a split view. Okay, I've opened actually 2 tabs of the browser. Okay, just to show you how this will work. Okay, and what I'll be doing is, let me refresh both of them. Okay, so here this user on the left hand side is user 1, and I'll type in a message, and this user is user 2, let's say. Okay, so name we are not clearing from the code. So if you see the code, okay, name is something. Okay, so over here you can also see this logs over here as to the messages coming and going. Okay, but I was saying we are not clearing. So when we send the message, okay, when we are showing the message after sending, we are not clearing we are clearing the message input, but we are not clearing the sender name. Okay, so sender name is going to stay. This is user 1, this is user 2. Okay, so I'm going to say hello everyone over here. It sends, you can see. Okay, and this is going to say, hey there, what's up, hey there, how are you? Okay, something like that. And you can see user 2. Okay, you can type in any sort of message. What are you learning right now? Okay, so he'll say Java WebSockets with Spring Boot. Okay, something like this. Okay, so you can see how the chat is happening. It's completely real time. Okay, and we are making use of WebSockets for this. Okay, I hope you have been able to follow along, and I hope this has been useful.